Hello everyone, this is TobeTada with another video of crypto trading. Thanks for checking by. Let's dive right in. So for today I thought I'd give another look at Bitcoin and how other altcoins relate to Bitcoin. So for doing this I thought about looking at Bitcoin, and we can basically look at the bigger movement which started around 2012 to 2019. And you can see that there has been a strong upward movement, and in terms of Elliott wave theory, this basically meant we had a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a fifth wave. And so the bear market of 2018 was basically part of this fourth wave, or a ABC correction. Now I drew some boxes and rectangles here, and this is because I want to compare this movement here to other altcoins such as Ripple or Steam. And the reason for choosing this time frame of about 2017 was because that there were lots of altcoins introduced to the market. There are others, of course, that go back further, but for now let's have a look at, for example, Ripple, which started its strong increase in price at around February, March 2017. And you can see that there was basically a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a fifth wave, meaning that there was an increase of about stunningly 53,000%. So that's very significant, of course, and this happened over a time period of about 320 days, something like that. And if we compare that time frame to other coins such as Steam, we see a very similar movement. We basically see a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a fifth wave, which has been happening around 300 days, and there was an increase also very significantly of about 13,000%. And in Bitcoin, this is basically the first rectangle here. This is also about 260 days, 270 days. And you can see that there was basically, if we look at this time period, we could say that there was a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a fifth wave. And the reason for the altcoins gaining this momentum was because Bitcoin was in this last very bullish phase here. And of course, for Bitcoin, this didn't mean that this was the start of the movement here. This was rather down here when it reached a low in January 2015, coming back down from this bullish market up here, and there was a correction, ABC. And then we had a 1, 2, or you can also put this up here. This is not exact science, but the idea is that there was a movement of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so in this time period, because of the movement of Bitcoin, we see that the altcoins also mimic this behavior, this movement here. And of course we had the peak of about December of 2017, January 2018, and very clearly you can see when Bitcoin the market of Bitcoin turned bearish, you could see that very clearly in altcoins, because we've basically just seen a devaluation of their value. Also with Ripple here, very clearly, when Bitcoin took a nosedive, we saw this very strong decrease. And you can also see how much that was for Ripple. That was stunningly 92% decrease in value right now. For Steam, this is even worse. It was 98%. And of course this is contrasted by the 13,000% increase, but that's still that's definitely quite shocking to have a 98% decrease in value. In Bitcoin, the same time period, or actually somewhat less time period, I will go into that in a second, was about 80, 83, 84%. So you can already see here that Bitcoin is having fewer losses here than most of the altcoins here. And of course, Bitcoin, Bitcoin's low was in around December 2018. For other altcoins, this was not the case, because this is basically equivalent to this rectangle here. You can see for Steam, this was merely the C wave of two more waves. So we had an A, B, C, D, E, and so we still have this new low, which is recently set here. For Ripple, this is quite similar. We basically have a B, C. It's a little bit hard to draw in an A, B, C, D, because the D would be higher than the B. But basically, you can see that there was a new low set some days ago. And so this is very in stark contrast with Bitcoin, because if we look at Bitcoin, of course, we have another bullish market here, which has had an increase of about 340% when it had a peak in about June 2019. June 2019 would be around here, and for Steam that actually meant there was actually already going back in a correction. We had the peak here in March. For Ripple, this was more closely related to Bitcoin. We had the peak in June 2019, and this meant there was, since the low of Bitcoin, about an 80% increase. For Steam, this was about a 150% increase, and for Bitcoin, of course, about 340%. Since then, Bitcoin has lost about 30-40% in value. For the altcoins, it was a lot more. It was about 70% for Steam. For Ripple, it was about 52%. And you can already see here that there's a big difference here. The altcoins haven't been moving on this momentum of Bitcoin. If they would have been, the price would be probably around up here. For Steam, much more likely, I don't know, about 70, 90 cents, something like up here. And so you can see there has been a divergence of this movement of Bitcoin. And the reason for that being is that the correction had not ended for example, Steam. We were still in this E wave here, or we are still in it. It could still go lower. And for Ripple, it also had not quite reached the new low, I guess, because it was, the C is lower than the A. For Bitcoin, however, we have this low, and we're going to see very likely, after a correction, a new increase. And the idea is basically that when Bitcoin moves up again after a correction, which I've talked about in the last video, which I think will put it around 6,000-7,000, something around here, we're probably going to see a strong increase in value again. And the hope, of course, is that the altcoins are going to finally catch up to that. So for Steam, we have a support coming from 2017 in March, and that would probably keep the price relatively stable. Perhaps it will fall to 13 cents, but I think the support is strong enough for it to basically hold that value here. For Ripple, it's also very similar. We have a very unique fractal here, which would be seen here and here. And we see that the fractal always ends by having a very strong increase in value here. You can basically do that for all of it. If you zoom in, you can see that repeated again and again. And so the idea is that we're probably going to have another increase here. For Steam, I think it's very similar. We're probably going to see, after a low of about 16 to 13 cents, another increase here. And so I guess that was basically the idea, giving you an update on how altcoins relate to Bitcoin and how Bitcoin could also continue to go up by basically saying that it's in this fifth wave of the Elliott wave theory, coming back up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth, and that means the outlook is fairly good. So I would say in the short term there are losses to be expected in the altcoins and Bitcoin, and in the midterm to long term I would expect an increase in value again. And if it works out in Elliott wave terms, a strong increase in value. So thanks for checking by, and see you next time. Bye.